Yo, it's your boy Jay Best, and welcome back to the Straight to the Point podcast, season 3, episode 16. On today's episode, I will briefly be talking about what happened on Thursday night between the Bengals and the Ravens. Then, following that, I'm gonna give y'all my week 10 bets that I really like for tomorrow, and then I'm gonna give y'all my week 10 picks for tomorrow as well. All right, before I get into any of that, I want to thank God for waking me up this morning, allowed me to talk about sports. It's something that I love to do, and without Him, I would not be here right now. So let's go ahead and let's get straight to the point. All right. On Thursday night football, the Ravens defeated the Bengals 35-34. If y'all watched my episode earlier this week, I said I picked the Ravens to win this game because I think the Bengals just can't beat good teams or teams that's above 500. They haven't done it so far, and they didn't do it on Thursday night. All right. This Bengals defense is terrible. Okay, I can say the same thing for the other side. I'm gonna talk about them in a minute, but for the Bengals team, okay, this is what we've been seeing all year. We've been seeing Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow have great games, and they equate to a loss because the defense cannot get a stop. All right, this has been the trend all year long. We saw Joe Burrow have a huge game against the Commanders. We saw Joe Burrow have a huge game against the Ravens earlier this year. Then we saw him have a huge game on Thursday Night Football, a game which he should have won. If you look at his numbers, you would think they won that game, but they fell short again because of the defensive side of the football. This is why I say this team is not going to the playoffs, and this is why I don't think this Bengals team is good. Yes, at the end of that game, it came down to a missed flag, two missed flags. Actually, should have been a holding on the defense on that 2-point conversion, and then it also should have been a hands to the face or a face mask. Whenever Joe Burrow threw the ball, he got hit in the face. So I do think that the Ravens did get bailed out at the end of that game. But the Bengals, look, you got into a shoot. At one point, you was up 21-7. At one point, it was up 21-7. And you cannot lose that lead. You cannot lose that. And that shows me that the defense cannot make stops, right? Baltimore just flipped the switch and they started scoring on every single drive in the second half. And you can't win like that. So that's why I think this team season is over. Ben said it, and I think that's a prime example of just because we have Joe Burrow does not mean that we're going to get wins, because Joe Burrow can be Joe Burrow all he wants to. But as long as that defensive side looks the way it does, they can still lose games. All right. So I think this season was the basically a representation of how this season has gone. The offense looks good and they still lose games. All right. Big games. Right. That was a huge game for the Bengals. Now they're falling to 4-6. I just don't see how they're going to get out of this hole, especially because they got to play the Steelers twice moving forward. And I can't guarantee wins for this team moving forward. Just because they play bad teams don't mean they're going to beat them. That's just how bad his defense is. All right. So on the flip side, the Ravens, to me, they look good offensively in the second half, but their defense is not good, guys. These is two teams that going into this year has AFC Championship / Super Bowl hopes, and their defense will not get them there. Okay, I hate to be a downer on Lamar Jackson's season, but this season's going to come to an end because of their defense. Usually, it's the defense is really good, and Lamar Jackson has a bad game in the playoffs. This year, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have a good game in the playoffs, and the defense is just going to give up too many points because they can't make stops. We saw Jamar Chase by himself go for over 200 receiving yards on a Thursday night with no T. Higgins, right? So there's no other guy out there we're looking at saying, okay, we got to stop him too. It's one guy. It's one guy, and they could not stop him. This team, and once again, another week where we see busted coverages in this defensive secondary. All right, so the defensive coordinator, to me, his job is already gone. They're going to finish this year out, and they're getting rid of him because he cannot simply figure out how to stop getting busted coverages. Right? We see this all year long. We've seen it throughout the whole entire year. And then not only that, but like I said, you let one man go for over 200 yards, and he gave up 34 points. Should have been 36 points, right? So this, to me, it was a win-win for me because in one breath, I'm telling y'all the Bengals are not good and they can lose this game. In the other breath, the Ravens, to me, have a huge disadvantage. They have a huge handicap on their team, which is the defense. That's what I've been talking about all year. So that was on display. That both defenses are so bad that I think that the Ravens season is going to be cut short in the playoffs because they can't get stops. And the Bengals are not going to the playoffs because their defense cannot get stops. All right. But I got to give it to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson had a great game. Also, Joe Burrow had a great game. But their defenses are going to be the depth of them this year. All right. So moving forward, I'm expecting the Ravens to keep winning games like this. Right. They're going to have to win games. Lamar Jackson got to put the cape on. But I do think that in the playoffs, the margin for error is so small for Lamar Jackson that if he makes a couple of mistakes, because that's what we've seen in the past in the playoffs, right? We all know he can be great during the regular season, but we have yet to see him be great in the playoffs consistently. We have not seen that yet, right? So if we do see it this year, he cannot make any mistakes, because if he does, the other team will capitalize off of it because their defense cannot make stops. All right, so I think that this game shows me that the Ravens are not that big of a threat when it comes to them getting to the Super Bowl. All right, and I think people need to calm down with the Lamar Jackson hype. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Lamar Jackson's having a great season. I'm not taking nothing away from him, but if we keep putting him on this pedestal, right, we're gonna expect that in the playoffs. And what's going to happen is people like me that are realists, and I'm waiting to see Lamar Jackson do this in the playoffs. When he plays like this in the regular season, then he goes to the playoffs and he doesn't do this. That's why I'm coming straight at y'all next. All right, I'm coming straight at y'all. I'm telling y'all that once again, I don't see it in the playoffs. But y'all love to hype him up during the season. So this is why I say calm down with the hype, because you're putting Lamar Jackson in a spot where in the playoffs he has to perform perfectly, or you're going to get talked about by people that don't have that much belief in Lamar Jackson. Right? They're just sitting back waiting. Okay, I see what he's doing in regular season. I see this. I've seen this twice. He's won 2 MVPs. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it. All right. So can I see it in the playoffs? And those of y'all that's just overhyping it and overhyping it, saying he's the best QB in the league right now, overhyping it, when he gets to the playoffs and he does not perform like this, you will look real crazy. All right. So I suggest y'all pipe it down just a little bit. Not saying he's not having a good season. Not saying don't show the boy love. What I'm saying is just calm it down just a little bit, because you're setting yourself for failure, in my opinion, because we have yet to see him play great in the playoffs. All right. But like I said, the Ravens beat the Bengals 35-34. The Bengals are now 4-6. That is a deep hole to come out of, and I don't see them coming out. All right. Let's move on to my week 10 bets. All right. Last week, I wasn't able to do an episode. I had a family plans. But I did post my bets on Instagram and on TikTok. And the 4 bets that I did was AJ Brown over his receiving yards against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Malik Neighbors over his receiving yards against the Commanders, Justin Jefferson over his receiving yards, and Kate Otten over his receiving yards. All right, I went 2-2 with those bets. AJ Brown got hurt. Malik Neighbors only had 1 target in the first half, so I blamed that on Daniel Jones more than anything. And then the second half, he got a lot of targets. He just couldn't get over that number because it wasn't enough time. And then Justin Jefferson, his yards did hit, and then Kate Iden, his yards did hit. All right, so basically I went 2 out of 3 because of AJ Brown getting hurt, but I went 2 for 4. So let's go ahead and let's get my favorite bets for this week for week 10. All right, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna reuse what I did last week. I'm going back again with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors is playing the Carolina Panthers this week. The Carolina Panthers secondary is bad. All right, this is a team that you can run the ball against very well, but outside receivers also have huge games against the Carolina Panthers. So I'm expecting Malik Neighbors to have a huge game. And for what I did was I laddered the bet, and I did over 100 yards. So whatever his number is, I like it. I even moved it up to over 100 yards for this game. That's how big of a game I think Malik Neighbors is about to have. All right, next, just like last week with Justin Jefferson against the Colts, who's the bad secondary. Well, guess what? Jacksonville Jaguars are a worse secondary. So with Justin Jefferson, I like his yards or his receptions, whichever one you prefer. All right, his receptions for me, what I see is 6.5. I like that bet. And then his yards at 94.5. I think this is also a bet. You can ladder up to over 100 because the Jacksonville Jaguars secondary is not good. All right, next we have Matthew Stafford over his passing yards. Look, with Puka and with Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford is going to throw close to 300 every single week. That's just how good he is with those 2 weapons. All right, so to me, I'm going with Matthew Stafford over passing yards. On mine, it was 260. All right, so I'm going with, and I think it actually bumped down today. I look back at it and kind of bumped back down, but I'm going over 260 passing yards from Matt Stafford against the Miami Dolphins. Also, I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. The Rams secondary is not that good. Guess what? You're going to use Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think they should have huge games. And then Matthew Stafford got an answer to that. So I think he's going to definitely go over 260 yards. All right, next we got C.J. Stroud over passing attempts. I got it at 32 passing attempts. This Detroit Lions defense is really good against the run, but not that good against the pass. And I know Joe Mixon has been the best player on this Texans team. He's been the most successful, the most reliable on this team. But I do think they're going to be able to shut him down, which is going to let C.J. Stroud have to put the ball in the air. And I believe Nico Collins might be coming back this week, which also gives me a little more confidence in that play. All right. Next, we got Cade Otton receptions. All right, it's at 6 right now. I don't know why it should be higher. Look, with no Chris Godwin, with no Mike Evans, Cade Otton has been Baker Mayfield's guy. Okay, he's went over this bet the past 3 weeks. He went over this bet last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. Their first game without Chris Godwin and without Mike Evans. And then this week, going against the 49ers, I don't care who the defense is. He is Mr. Reliable in this past game without Chris Godwin and without Mike Evans. And then last but not least, my team bet last week, I did Broncos plus 9.5, and they got killed. Okay, so I messed that bet up. But this week I'm going with the Steelers as an underdog. Okay, go straight up bet, no spread, nothing like that. I like the Steelers to win. Steelers coming off a bye week. Okay, going against Washington. I understand it's in Washington. I understand everybody loves Washington, but Jaden Daniels, they have not beaten a team above 500 except for the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, and the Cardinals aren't even that good of a team. So I understand this Commanders hype, and I gave them their credit on the last episode I did. But I do think that the Steelers are going to come in to Washington and put an end to all of that noise. Okay, Jaden Daniels to me has not faced a defense like the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. He just hasn't. He hasn't had to go against T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and a Nick Herbie, and now adding Preston Smith to that pass rush, a Cam Hayward. He has not gone against a defense like that, but a secondary like the Steelers have. Okay, so I do think Jaden Daniels is going to struggle, and I also think that the Steelers offense, Russell Wilson getting another full week by with his team, getting more comfortable with George Pickens, right? Adding Mike Williams, and he have Najee Harris who's been over 100 yards the past 2 weeks. I just think that this Steelers team is better than this Washington team, and the hype is there in Washington, but I do think the Steelers are being slept on with this, with them being an underdog. So I'm going with the Steelers straight up bet over the Washington Commanders. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to my Week 10 picks. All right, I am 81-58 on the year. All right, 81-58. That's pretty darn good if you ask me. And then not only that, but last week I went 10-5. All right, so let's keep this thing going. All right, so Week 10, Thursday night I went for the Ravens. Right, I went for the Ravens, got that game right. We're starting off at 8:30. A game overseas game, the Giants and the Panthers. I'm actually going with the Panthers. All right, I want to go with this upset. Look, Bryce Young might have found something last week. Bryce Young looked like an NFL quarterback last week, and I think he's going against a really good matchup in the New York Giants. I understand I just talked about Malik Neighbors having a good game, but he can have a big game and still lose. All right, so I'm going with this Panthers team. Can they ride the momentum going overseas? Bryce Young, first game overseas, I understand that, but I do think that he's going to be able to be successful against this Giants defense. So I do believe that the Carolina Panthers can ride this momentum and beat a Giants team that's not that good to me. So it's not impossible, right? I understand the Panthers are the underdog, but to me, the Giants are not that big of a top dog to say that they're going to guarantee beat this team, all right? So I'm going with the Carolina Panthers in the upset overseas. All right. Next, we got the Patriots and the Bears. I'm going with the Bears in this one. Okay. The Patriots, look, I love Drake May. I love what he has done since he's been in the league. The Patriots' future is bright, but the Bears got to get a win. Okay, if they want to make a playoff push, they got to get a win, and this is the best way to do it right here at home against a Patriots team that's not that good. Okay, this is the underdog team. The Patriots team is one of the underdog teams that will catch you slipping if you're not fully engaged and if you're not fully focused. They will catch you slipping. But I think the Bears got embarrassed last week by the Arizona Cardinals, and I think they'll be able to keep this thing going. Roma Dunze also had a good game last week, so I'm expecting him to continue getting better and better in this offense with Caleb Williams, all right? And also, Caleb Williams, you got to outperform Drake because it's going to be some chirping. If you get outperformed by Drake May and you lose to Drake May, there's going to be some chirping about should you have been the number one pick. Now, I said Drake May is going to be a better quarterback than Caleb Williams. I've said that on numerous occasions. But I think in this one, Caleb has the better team. Caleb should get the win, all right? Next, we got the Buffalo Bills and the Colts. I'm going with the Bills, okay? I've seen the Bills at -4, right? Basically, they're saying this game should be a little close, but I think that the Bills should win this by a lot. Look, the Colts are just not a good team. The defense is not good. And then offensively, they tried to put Joe Flacco in because for some reason, I think the Colts believe they can win right now. That's the only reason why you would take out a young quarterback and put in a veteran. But to me, Joe Flacco is not that good either. Yes, he showed flashes this year, but can he consistently do it? I don't think so, especially against a red hot Buffalo Bills team. So I'm going with the Buffalo Bills. All right. Next we have the Broncos and the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs. Okay, I love this Broncos team. I love their story. I love Bo Nix. I love Sean Payton, but I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. They're gonna be 9-0. It is what it is. All right. This team just for some reason finds ways to win every single week. And now DeAndre Hopkins is starting to get a rhythm in this offense, which is going to make this offense a little more scarier than it has been. So I got the Chiefs winning this game against the Broncos. All right, next we got the Falcons and the Saints. Look, the Saints are beat up offensively. No Olave, no Rashid Shaheed, right? All they have Derek Carr back, but they have no weapons to throw the ball to. So this should be an Alvin Kamara masterclass. They should try to get him the ball all day long. But I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons to win this game. They just have more. The Saints are hurt. The Saints are selling players. They just got rid of Marshawn Lattimore. The Saints, I think, are getting ready for next year, right? So I'm going with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, next we got the 49ers and the Bucks. I'm going with the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey is back. All right. Not to say he's going to remain back because he could, who knows, re-aggravate his injury. You never know, right? So I'm not solely going on Christian McCaffrey. I think that this 49ers team is a better team. I think this Tampa Bay team is just killed with injuries right now. Yes, they put up a fight. They're going to put up a fight. But I do think that the 49ers are going to get this win in Tampa tomorrow. All right, next we got the Steelers and the Commanders. Just talked about that. I got the Steelers winning this game. They're underdogs for some crazy reason, but I suggest that y'all go ahead and cash your money in on that one. Next we got the Vikings and Jaguars. Look, no Trevor Lawrence. Even with Trevor Lawrence, I would have picked the Vikings, but without Trevor Lawrence, you got Mac Jones. This Jaguars team is not good, all right? And this Vikings team is continuing to shock me because they're continuing to win games. I did not think they'll be 6-2 at this point. And mind you, in my NFL tiers I did a couple of weeks ago, through the first 6 weeks, I thought that they was gonna fall off eventually, and this is another win, which means they're gonna be 7-2. Uh, it's not looking too good for me, all right. But I got the Vikings winning that game. All right, next we got the Titans and the Chargers. I got the Chargers. Okay, the Chargers to me are looking better and better every single week because I think Jim Harbaugh is letting Justin Herbert throw the ball a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. Okay, I think that at first they want to just run the ball, play good defense, but I think Jim is realizing that we got to throw the ball a little bit too. We can't just run the ball all day. We got to throw the ball a little bit. And Lad McConkey, rookie receiver from Georgia, is starting to benefit from that. And Justin Herbert, he has an arm, and he's a pretty good quarterback. So I think that with that run offense and with the defense, I think this team is really good. They're going against a bad Tennessee team with with Will Levis. I think Will Levis is starting in this game. So I got the Chargers winning this game. Next, we have the Eagles and the Cowboys. Look, Dak Prescott is out for the year. He's having surgery on his hamstring. So I will pick against them every single week. All right. Nothing against Cooper Rush, but if Dak Prescott is supposed to be the highest paid player of all time and he can't get it done, I definitely don't think that Cooper Rush can get it done. All right. So I'm going with the Eagles to win this game. The Eagles have a better team. And I think that this Dallas run defense is so bad that Saquon Barkley might just have a career day tomorrow against Dallas. So I got the Eagles winning in Dallas. All right. Next, we got the Jets and the Cardinals. I'm going with an upset here. I'm going with the Jets a favorite. I'm sorry. I'm going with the Jets. Okay. I'm going with the Jets to win this game. I think the Jets found something last week when they beat the Texans. All right. The Texans had injuries, but at the end of the day, the Texans are a pretty good team. And the Jets found a way to win that game. And I think that Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers is slowly getting back on the same page, right? We saw it last week. And then not only that, but like I said, when I showed y'all that Garrett Wilson played in the last episode, Garrett Wilson is getting one-on-one coverage because of Devontae Adams. So Garrett Wilson is benefiting from the Adams trade. And not only that, but Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are getting their rhythm going. So, hey, I got the Jets winning this game against the Arizona Cardinals team that's overachieving. They're 5-4, which is pretty good, but I don't think they should be 5-4, right? So I'm going with the New York Jets, all right? And then Sunday Night Football, we got the Lions at the Houston Texans. I got the Lions winning this game. Look, the Texans, to me, their O-line has been a problem as of late, okay? You see that Stroud's getting sacked a lot. And I do think that without Stephon Diggs, yes, Nico might come back, but I still think that the Detroit Lions offense can outscore this Texans offense on any day. All right, so I got the Detroit Lions winning this game in Houston, and then Monday Night Football, the Dolphins and the Rams. I'm going with the Rams. Okay, the Dolphins to me are not a good team. Just like I said, the Dallas Cowboys had that role reversal. Right, this team this year they're gonna be a bad team. But this year, the Miami Dolphins are a bad team as well. Even with Tua back, they are still a bad team. So I got the Rams win. The Rams are back, fully loaded. They got Puka. They got Cooper Cup. And Puka actually came back from injury last week before last, right? Then played last week, got ejected, and so now he got extra rest. I think this team is going to win. It should be a high scoring game though, because the Rams secondary is still suspect a little bit, so it should be a high scoring game. But I got the Rams winning this one at home. All right, and that is it for my picks, and that's also it for today's episode of the Straight to the Point podcast. All right, once again, I'm gonna keep saying the same thing I've been saying at the end of every single episode. Enjoy football. Okay, I know I am. And I know I'm gonna be heartbroken when it's over. All right. So make sure y'all lock in tomorrow. Watch as many games as you possibly can. Make sure y'all tune in to my TikTok, my Instagram, my Facebook at the bottom of the screen. Make sure y'all share my podcast. All right, like, subscribe, comment things y'all want me to talk about, comment things y'all want me to fix. I'm open to suggestions all day long. All right. But that is it for today. It's your boy Jay Best. Much love. Stay blessed. I'm out.